Welcome to the video, everybody. Today I will be breaking down level 8, everything that you need to know to be more comfortable and prepared for what is about to launch in Mario Kart Tour. Thank you all for joining me. If you're supporting of this data-driven analysis that I do on the channel here for Mario Kart Tour, please do show your support with a like on this video and subscribing to the channel. It means the world in helping this content reach more people so that it can be beneficial. I do thank you so very much for that. We were greeted with a message when we first opened up our apps this morning, and that was a message from the Mario Kart Tour team, and in that they notified us all that there would be an expansion done to leveling up for our drivers, karts, and gliders, that the level cap has been expanded to level 8. Previously, it had expanded to level 7 in February of 2021. So now here we are 1 year later, and we are now moving to level 8. This has significant implications in the game, and I am extraordinarily excited to share all of this information for you, because I do know that there are some fears out there, but we dispelled that fear with knowledge. So in this video, I will be arming everyone with that knowledge so that you can best decide how to adjust your strategy to approach level 8, because there are a lot of magnificent things that can be done with the inclusion of level 8. I myself am very personally excited about the prospects that are on the horizon for all of us, and that will start with the tour following the Sky Tour after the winter celebration is over on March 9th, 2022. The bonuses that are coming for taking your inventory to level 8 are as follows. For drivers, it will increase the chance of starting a frenzy, which currently for high ends is plus 10% the base frenzy rate for what position that you're in during the race itself, which will be modified depending upon if it's lap 1 or lap 2. There's an additional chance to spawn a frenzy in the second lap, as there is in the first lap, and naturally the further back your position is, the greater the chance of spawning a frenzy than if you are at the front of the pack. If you're front running in the track, if you're in first place, it's 5% on the first lap, and it's 6% on the second lap. So if we are plus 10%, that's in addition to those base frenzy rates. Now, for the high end specifically, since it is a high end game, for the most part, most of the items are high end, and with each subsequent level that's being added in, really adds emphasis to the amount of points that are being generated that can be seen for high end, since it accentuates the points cap effect and the output that has on your score. I will be going over that in just a little bit. Prior to level 6, which is when we saw the last frenzy chance increase, it was plus 7%. So it goes from plus 7% all the way to plus 10%. So might we see a similar plus 3% going into level 8? It could be plus 13%, but keep in mind that each jump sometimes is progressive. So could it be plus 4% or plus 5%? We could see a range of values, between plus 13% to plus 15% conservatively. Anything more than that would be quite a seismic shift on the part of the framework and the development team in crafting the game. That could have an impact also on the number of tickets that it will cost to raise your drivers, karts, and gliders from level 7 to level 8, which we'll speculate on also in just a little bit. So the other thing that it will be increasing are the bonus points boost, and this applies to drivers, karts, and gliders, and that is when your item is in the top shelf of a track, when it's a favorite course, using the terminology that exists in the game itself. When your item is level 2 or greater, you'll receive what's called bonus points boost, which is when 1%, approximately 1% of your driver's base points are multiplied by the multiplier based on which level you're on. So if you're a level 2 driver, you will get ×1 bonus points boost, which is off of the approximate 1% of that item's base points, right? So what I will do at this particular time is I will paste a chart in the space here, and it will show the updated values that you can expect to find now for when level 8 drops into the game. And we can see now that the maximum capacity for the bonus points boost will come from your high-end drivers that are level 8 and 1,400 base points now. It's 98 bonus points boost per action. So each action that you get in a race will have an additional 98 points, provided that your driver is level 8 and 1,400. And what this chart does is it's an easy reference table for determining where your items are located and how many points you can expect to find in terms of bonus points boost. Now, you often hear me describe Mario Kart Tour as becoming a high-end game, and let me just illustrate to you why that is using this table as a reference point. And if we take a look at the column for a completely maxed out super driver, which is in 975 base points, and if we look all the way down at the bottom for level 8, we'll see that that driver is going to get 68.25 bonus points boost per action for each action that you perform in the race, compared to that of the 98 bonus points boost per action of the fully maxed out high end, which equates to a 69.6% raw output relative to that of the high end. So it has approximately, rounding that is, 2/3 of the value of what a high-end driver would be able to perform. So, I mean, certainly always moving forward, those super options will be great budgetary options for you to invest into to fill out your coverage. But specifically when we're looking to mold our accounts around specific items, those will always be the high ends, and that's why it is a high-end game. And you want to be most responsible when allotting your high-end tickets to the various points of your inventory to really get the most equity and power out of what you currently possess, and also what your future expectations for your account's coverage will be. Just to provide additional understanding for how we are able to arrive at these values is that each time you are adding a level on. So we talked about how level 2 has a 1x bonus to the bonus points boost. When you go to level 3, that becomes a 2x bonus. So therefore, if we're going to take a look at a high end, and let's say at this particular point your high end driver has only 800 base points, because that is ideal not to apply your points cap ticket until you're commanding greater bonus points boost with a higher level. And what we find here is that it has 8 bonus points boost per action, and then it goes to 16. So we're going from, basically it's 8 times 1, and then it's 8 times 2 to get to 16, and then 8 times 3 to get to 24, so on and so forth. And that exists for all of the values. It's definitely easier to see with the ones that don't have decimals. Next up, we will be returning to the analysis that I provided for the expansion to level 7, since this has implications now for level 8, as well as new figures and guidelines to go based on, as well as an entire year of additional perspective. What this figure indicates is the amount of scoring from the bonus points boost that you will receive as a direct contribution for each ticket that you've invested in for each step of the way. It's a very powerful tool for really understanding the value that you are receiving by using and utilizing those tickets on items in your inventory. And this is specifically looking at drivers of the high-end class. It's to scale for that of high ends for karts and gliders, as well as other rarity classes, which is to say the supers and normals. The only difference would be that the values on the chart would be altered and smaller, reflective of the previous reference table that I provided to you. But everything is to scale, so the understanding is universal. And with that out of the way, let's now discuss more about the specifics and how to use this figure to enhance your understanding and how level 8 will impact the game. The way that these are calculated is to look at the bonus points boost being added by the specific move that we're looking to make for each position within where that item is currently invested into your inventory, whether that is currently a level 4 single capped and looking to make it a level 5 single capped, or if something is level 6 and triple capped and looking to make it level 7 and triple capped, then these numerical values will show you just what your return can be, and it really kind of serves as a way of showing you the flow and progression of how your items will achieve you the maximum amount of points output, which is like a direct contribution to your score based on the minimal amount of investment required. Now, certainly, as is the case for many folks out there, these numbers could be dictated largely more based on the inventory of tickets that you have on your account. So perhaps many players out there may have more level up tickets and they may have more points cap tickets, right? And that could dictate which direction you take things in. However, it is optimal to invest in the level first, and we see that because what that does is it greatly accentuates the strength of those points cap investments later on, which will be shown in the next chart. In the case of level up tickets, we get diminished returns the further down we go, and the reason for that is because with each level we're adding, it's just increasing that multiplier by an additional 1x as we already established. And what that means is that as we progress through those levels, each level is going to require more tickets, right? When we introduced level 7 to the game, it became 5 high-end tickets in order to bring it to level 7 from level 6. And to get to level 6, it was 3 high-end tickets to get there from level 5. So it's that reduced, or I should say diminished return on investment for each ticket that decreases the amount of value that each ticket is going to tangibly obtain your driver in a race compared to if you were investing that into other drivers. Now, there are certainly a lot of factors that go into this, such as the amount of actions that you're expecting to perform, and that will vary based on your investment targets, track composition, because largely what determines the action count is the composition of the track, right? Something that is very long, such as Rainbow Road and Trick version, which has the opportunity for more actions. Additionally, the number of item boxes also affects the amount of actions that you're being able to generate, particularly based on the special skill of the driver that you're using. And that's why it's important when considering the value of karts and gliders, you want to see what kind of overlap they have with top tier special skills, right? Those of Coin Box, those of Boomerang, Giant Banana, Lucky 7, Triple Banana. Those are my top 5 special skills that I see in terms of action potential just from the skill itself, and then to look to see what kind of coverage of your karts and gliders pairs up with those well, because those are going to be the ones that will have a greater realization of their bonus points boost. And also worth noting is that the bonus points boost has a ceiling, and that is 200 actions. So once you hit 200 actions, every action that takes place beyond the 200 actions will no longer result in bonus points boost being added. So you're only going to be getting the additional bonus point from the specific action itself, such as the mini turbo or the jump boost, in addition to the combo points that are being generated for keeping your action streak alive within a chain, which is, if you are using a top shelf glider, is going to be 45 combo points per action. So with that context and that disclaimer out of the way, let's take a look now at what we anticipate to see for level 8. And this is where I will show the entire range of possible outcomes based on what's realistically expected to see from the developers in implementing this level, as well as I will pick out a specific one which I think has a high likelihood of occurring, and I'll explain why that is. If we take a look here, I have on this figure the value for bonus points boost per action per ticket spent if the investment from level 7 to level 8 only costs 5 tickets, if it costs 6 tickets, 7 tickets, 8 tickets, and we're even going all the way up to 9 and 10 tickets, although I don't consider those to be very likely. The reason why I am including them is that they do remain as a possibility as a worst case scenario, since in addition to receiving the additional frenzy chance, bonus points multiplier for the cart, which is the base bonus point multiplier, not to be confused with the bonus points boost that I have been talking about at length here, as well as combo time for your glider. So now high-end gliders at their level 8 will be able to go to 30% additional combo time for keeping that combo alive. In addition to those bonuses, we will also be getting an additional track added for our high ends, and that is going to be a new favorite track, likely going to be originating from the list of favored courses, which is to say the middle shelf tracks that we often take a casual look at here on the channel, not tracked in specific detail, but they are becoming relevant now. And of these several hundred high ends that exist in the game, starting next tour, they will have one additional favorite course if you take that item all the way to level 8. And I think the addition of that in combination with the other bonuses and buffs that will come along with level 8 could project the ticket expenditure anticipated to see for the level from 7 to 8 be increased. So I think it would be extremely optimistic if we see that they have it as just 5 high-end tickets like it was from level 6 to level 7. That would be extraordinarily generous on behalf of the development team. The number that I am fixated on is 8 high-end tickets, and the reason why I see 8 as being a likely number is because if we take a look at the framework from Supers, right, it was 5 tickets to go from level 5 to level 6, and then it jumped to 8, and that was to go from level 6 to level 7. So it exists within the Super framework to go from 5 to 8. Also, if we take a look at high ends, we already established that they went from level 5 to level 6 was 3 high-end tickets, and then from level 6 to level 7 was 5 high-end tickets. So that was plus 2 tickets. If we apply that plus 2 tickets here, that would go to 7 high-end tickets. But wait, there's more, because each time that they increase the bonuses, such as the frenzy chance and the other ones that we've already mentioned several times here, there's an additional ticket expenditure that's required for each of those previous steps, which were level 4 and level 6 for high ends. And that would be an additional 1, which would bring us to 8 high-end tickets in order to take it to level 8. So there's a lot of symmetry that exists within the framework. It's the most logical from many different perspectives there. So while I will provide the full range of projections for these values on what the value of these tickets will be for you, I have in parentheses after each range the value that represents 8 high-end tickets as the cost, and that is my best guess in terms of projecting what this will look like when we open it up in 2 weeks from now. So if we take a look at a high-end driver that has its base points at 800, which means that you haven't applied any points capping, unconventional, but there may be a situation for someone out there who is in that position just based on the inventory of tickets that you have out there. If the cost is 5 high-end tickets in order to raise the level to 8, it would be 1.6 bonus points boost per action per ticket spent. And if it costed 10 high-end tickets in order to do that, it would be 0.80 bonus points boost per action per ticket spent. And the value, if it is in fact that 8 ticket cost, would be exactly 1. And that's because we are adding an additional 8 bonus points boost from the level 7 to the level 8, which means it goes from 48 bonus points per action to 56 bonus points per action. And at the cost of 8 tickets, that would be 1 bonus points boost per action per ticket that you've invested. Moving on to a single capping now. So this would be if you have your driver at 980 points at level 7, what would the value of your ticket be then to take it to level 8? We see the range, the numbers increase, and this is at the benefit of the points capping and how the points capping and the levels are a complementary system, right? They aren't diametrically opposed. One helps the other. So as you invest into either the level or the points capping, you're further incentivized to invest in the other category because it will increase the amount of gains that you're receiving per ticket invested than if that prior investment of the other kind hadn't already been made. And here we see that the range is 1.98 in the case of 5 high-end tickets, and it's 0.99 in the case of 10 tickets. And that's because when you are invested with a single capping, it is adding 9.9 bonus points boost per action instead of the 8 that's seen when it's just a base high-end with the points at 800. The number for 8 high-end tickets would then be 1.24. Now, I have certain thresholds set up on this chart, and you can see it in the other levels that are represented here, in that good is distinguished in a white font, and that is set at 2 bonus points boost per action per ticket spent. And for borderline, it will be between 1 and 2. So if the value is 1, it would be considered borderline, and anything below 1 would be in red, which would be considered bad. It doesn't mean that you can't make the move. Certainly there are players out there who do make the move. What it essentially means is that it's a wasted ticket investment at that particular stage, right? That just means that a different move should be made first, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. And by overstretching it in the one direction, eventually you will have to invest into it the other way. So moving on to now a double capped driver, which would be 1,190 base points. If we were to invest from level 7 to level 8 for 5 tickets, it would be 2.9 bonus points boost per action per ticket spent, and it would be 1.2 if that were for 10 high-end tickets. And of course, if it were 8 high-end tickets, which is the expectation, it'd be 1.43. And finally, if your driver is completely maxed out with its base points at 1,400, it would then be 2.8 for 5 tickets, and it would be 1.4 for 10 tickets, with the value being 1.75 for 8 tickets. So we can see here with my anticipated projection of it being 8 tickets, it would be 1.75 bonus points boost per action per ticket spent, which once this is finalized, I will provide the finalized chart in the subsequent tour when all of the information is official here, and that would be in that magenta color. It would be in the borderline choice, right? And that emphasizes a point I'm going to make in my conclusion, so stay tuned for that. But I do want to cover the effect now of the points cap tickets with implications for level 8, because they're extraordinary, and this is all finalized, right? Unless the framework and the mechanics of Mario Kart Tour were to change entirely, this is official data that you can apply to your game even ahead of the release of level 8. The reason why this is finalized is because the investment of the points cap tickets isn't being changed. According to the announcement, that is not being touched, which means that these values you can take to your bank. And we can see here just how much of an incentive it is to apply your points cap tickets when level 8 rolls around, right? Let's say if you didn't have any points capping done and you're all the way at level 8, suddenly now it's 13.3 bonus points boost per action per ticket spent. I mean, that is completely off the charts. I mean, it's the amount of equity that you're gaining from using that ticket in that situation is not comparable on this chart. It's magnitudes larger than any other move that you could make. So really, you want to put the information of these two figures together in informing how you proceed forward with your items and how you apply these levels, because the one feeds into the other. So there should really never be a situation where you're this far with an item and it still needs to be point cap invested. My rule of thumb is soonest chance to invest point cap tickets for each threshold. You would do a single cap at level 2 as the earliest. It doesn't provide any additional advantage when it's a level 1, only with the base points, because you're not going to get any bonus points boost with it only being a level 1. There's no multiplier that exists there. When you would want to consider then the double cap at the soonest possible situation would be level 4. And when you would want to consider the soonest possible chance to apply the triple cap, that would be level 6. And that's reflective of those borderline numbers. And when it moves from that bad into the borderline section, that's when you know that it is now a viable option to make that investment for your item. So here we see that's even still for the double cap at level 8, it's exceedingly good to make this investment at 2.87 bonus points boost per action per ticket spent. That's right in between the value of what it would be to single cap your level 2 and level 3. So really at this stage of investment, you want to have your items double capped if you're going as far as investing to level 8. And then we have the triple cap. And what's remarkable about this is the value is 1.44 bonus points boost per action per ticket spent. And this number keeps climbing. And this was the silver lining positive takeaway I provided when I first started off my channel and did my big level 7 analysis then, is that one of the benefits of level expansions being introduced into Mario Kart Tour is that they make the value of your points cap tickets that you spend so much time grinding for in ranked mode, because they are mostly exclusive to ranked mode. They are not priced equitably in the tier shop and outside of the total points challenge and the long time ago login bonuses that we had. Occasionally they had points cap tickets there as well. Then you cannot find them. They don't exist in the daily selects, and they do occasionally appear in the token shop. But for the high-end variety, it needs to either be a rally tour or a very special event in order to see those. To illustrate the point, the number 1.44 for triple capping your level 8 is a greater return on investment for those 10 tickets that you're spending than it is to spend the 5 tickets on your level 4 for the double capping. And that's quite extraordinary, just how much force this additional level has to your investment in terms of the points capping. Now, with all that information available to you, what is my takeaway? What is my conclusion from level 8 being a thing? Well, for starters, I have been saying that level 8 will come to the game. I was saying it last year in the comments with you, my chat and videos, that I was anticipating level 8 to launch right around the same point that it did last year. Looking at the revenue, at the player activity, which was sourced and verified by players who keep track of the amount of tokens that are collected during rally events, and seeing that the developers have to find additional sources of revenue for this game to match whatever internal targets that they set for it. This was inevitable that it would happen, okay? And along with that, there has to be a realization within your own strategy that whatever situation you have gotten yourself into in the game with respect to your shop's progress is not permanent. And the idea of pushing it further for the aim of having additional opportunities to receive high-end tickets comes at the expense of the cost that it incurs. There was a debate in the free-to-play community over what is the value of maxing out the normal glider slot in terms of ticket acquisition, and what can that add to your account at what cost. And essentially those items possess no real significant value, right? They're not going to be coming into ranked mode. The super gliders and the super items will appear in ranked mode infrequently, but I can at least say frequently enough to make it a consideration so that you're actually getting some kind of a return on that investment, albeit a very small return since the frequency is so low. But then what factors into that is the cost, right? Because when you're investing into supers in your shop, the cost balloons, right? It is fewer items to unlock in order to get that tile, but the cost is that much greater. And it's when you're playing in a free-to-play style, or even if you're just a gold pass only, then your resource management is key, right? It becomes a different situation a bit when you are a Gold Pass Plus player, when you will purchase some bundles, maybe pull on some pipes additionally that result in additional coin value being placed onto your account and outright pay to win, which coins are limitless at that point, depending upon how far on the scale you go. The entire thing is a spectrum. There are not just 3 or 4 different player kinds out there. It exists on a wide variety of things, and it also boils down to what you're willing to invest in terms of time too. Like even within the free-to-play ranks, there's differences. Like if you're a casual free-to-play player, if you only play a couple days, your output is going to be vastly different than someone who's maximizing, right? Or near maximizing anyway. So, but then what was the value of these things? And a lot of players in the free-to-play community felt it essential, or at least optimistic enough, to max out those slots for the high ends, and they did acquire a few more high-end tickets than I had, but I had ultimately decided, based on my point in the game and the amount of investment that it would take, over 100,000 coins and over a month of investing into these useless items, that I would just pause my shop progress where it was, and that would have benefits then for level 8, because I wouldn't need to use any additional normal tickets then that could be used into the normal premium categories when the shop expansion were to occur. So I would have access to those impermanent but guaranteed slots for receiving high ends when that time will come along. So my account personally, I've had level 8 in the plan now for several months, probably about half a year, if not longer, in regards to that. So for me personally, I'm very excited about the prospects of level 8, and it boils down to the message that I share here on the channel. And everyone is free to have their own opinion and to draw their own conclusions. I encourage that here. I just share my own as a way of perhaps expanding the realm of possibility and thought that's out there for some folks, since people might not consider some of these things when looking at what their experience should look like, because they might only see one other kind of experience and just accept that as some kind of standard, that that's how we need to react, or that's how we need to perceive the game, and when in fact that there's an entire range of outcomes, and it's up to you to craft. It can be very fun. Having success and doing it your way, as I would put it, is extremely rewarding. And ultimately the message that I like to share here is that we are the center of our own gravity in our strategy, right? And all the pieces moving around us are irrelevant, right? And if that's too difficult to see, then I'm going to respectfully say that you may be a prisoner of the moment in terms of considering just what these changes have an impact on the game, because I see mostly positives here. And the reason for that is because, yes, there may be a situation a week here and there where the addition of these things will apply new force to us, right? But what is it in terms of resources that we are acquiring in 1 week that completely wipes out or neutralizes everything that we've been working towards, right? And I know that there are a lot of investment goals out there, and a lot of those get delayed and pushed back as a result of this new level, okay? And that might be upsetting for many folks out there. In fact, just by talking on my Discord server, the vast majority of people are not happy about this, but there are positives here. And one is that we can continue to enjoy this game. The development team needs this, okay? They don't put this out there just to see the players unhappy, okay? This is needed to continue Mario Kart Tour. They've been giving us wonderful content lately. And if a move like this will continue that wonderful content forward, by all means, we should take that as a positive. And then secondly, it increases the amount of potential that you can do with your account, right? As soon as you invest into level 8, not everybody's going to be able to invest into level 8 right away, and that's okay, because as I also showed you, the ROI decreases as you go up to level 8. So if you are caught in the mentality of keeping up with the Joneses, as one of my commenters had described it as, then you can still keep up in the sense that your competitors that you perceive as being more heavily invested into the game, which could make it more difficult in specific short-term instances, that through adaptation and wise investment, which is to say greater ROI investment, you can make more efficiency of your resource use, make use of the resource masterclass, the ideas, the concepts that are proposed there, apply it to your own situation, and then you will outgain your opponent's progress, still while spending less than them, okay? But this is over the long term, so this is not something that you will see the results of, week 1 and 2 of this new level 8 edition. This is something that takes place over the long term. But competitive success, it needs to be sustained, right? Nothing is at its peak at any moment, right? The minute that you rest on your laurels, everybody else around you gets better. It's a matter of always refining that and utilizing that to your best advantage. And that's where the competitive-minded player, but even if you are a casual player and make use of these philosophies and principles, your progress and your success is assured here. I do promise you that. All the content I do here is made with all of you in mind, of the various different player kinds. And I have every faith in the world that you will be equipped with all the knowledge to see your own success through. And that's the joy that I have from continuing to play Mario Kart Tour and sharing this content with all of you. As always, we can continue this conversation in the comments as well as in the Discord chat. Thank you all for the support, and I do hope you all find the excitement and the thrill that comes along with this new environment, this new landscape to Mario Kart Tour, because it's going to be a lot of fun, and there will be a lot of coverage here on the channel to see that everyone can maximize your own success. And I do look forward to hearing about all of your stories in the time to come.